Be flexible and patient. Things are changing daily, so you just have to go with the flow, just kind of like teachers are. We don't know day to day, things change and are different from what we're told the day before. So just remember to stay flexible. Things are going to change a lot more between now and then and in the next few months. So just make sure that you're flexible and understanding of that. Any questions on Plan B that I could answer? All right, well, if you think of any, just let me know. And I will find you an answer or help you the best that I can. All right. So today we're just going to finish going over your animal rights and animal welfare lesson from yesterday. So yesterday we kind of distinguished the differences between animal rights and animal welfare. Remember that animal rights is kind of a more aggressive approach. They don't believe that animals should be used for humans at all for any purpose, not for research, not for pets, not for consumption. Animals shouldn't be used at all for animal rights. Animal welfare, we believe that animals should be used by humans, but they should be treated humanely and should be treated good. So these are the farmers that yes, they are maybe raising them for meat, but while they're with us and in our hands, we want them to be treated good and humane. And so we're going to talk today about some of the industry myths and current events that are revolving around animal welfare and animal rights. So this is a, oh man, I can't remember what these things are called. What in the world? One of those boards you see on the side of the road. Anybody want to help me out with the name here?
Billboard?
Yeah, thank you. Billboard. I wanted to say bulletin board, but I knew that was not right. Yeah, so this is a billboard. And so it has some sheep on it, and it says, "We're individuals, we're not sweaters, wear something vegan." And then it has the PETA logo. And remember, PETA is an animal rights activist group. So, what are some thoughts that you might have when you see this? If you were to see this on the road? Anybody?
You don't kill the sheep to get the wool?
Okay, so yeah, that's what this is kind of saying. It's saying that you don't need to kill the sheep to get the wool. It's advocating to keep sheep alive. So now we're going to watch a video about sheep shearing. So this is a sheep and how they get the wool from the sheep, and see what you think about it after that.
The sheep this side, you just grab a hold of it by the wool and try to pull it out and drag you all over the tent. The Australian method is the most widely used method here. As long as you can keep their feet off the floor while you're shearing, keep them in a fairly comfortable position, most of them won't fight. I'll go ahead and share this, and then we'll see if you have any more questions. Okay, now if we just stretch this out, the rest of this is pretty much all in one piece. Do the other hand from Springfield, Massachusetts.
All right, so from that video, watching that sheep get sheared is what it's called, sheared. Would you say that that was hurting the sheep? Would you say that the sheep was in pain?
No.
No. It looked fairly relaxed. It was not struggling. It was not fighting. It wasn't in a harmful position. It wasn't tied up, constrained. And that's because it was comfortable and because it probably wanted to have its wool sheared. I know females might be a little bit different, but I know males, if you're used to having your hair a certain way, when it grows out and gets longer, it might get hot, or if you're like my husband, he doesn't like when it starts to touch his ears, and so then he has to get a haircut because he can't stand it. And so it's the same thing for sheep. That wool is there to keep them warm in the winter, but as it gets warmer and hotter, they want to have it sheared off, and so then we're just utilizing their wool to make something else for other people to use. That way it's not going to waste. So, that billboard can be kind of misleading in that sense. All right, this advertisement actually says got veal. Does anybody know what veal is?
No.
No, nobody? All right, so veal is actually the term that we use for meat, but it's going to be a younger cow. So, maybe a cow that's not very old, probably in the like 6 to 12 month range. You can't really see with this cow on the advertisement, but like not a baby cow, but those what we would consider mid years, but for them it's just mid months, aged cow. And so they're just it's a lot tenderer of a meat, and so it's considered a specialty in some places. I personally have never had it, so I couldn't tell you if it was good or not, but it is considered a specialty. And so this is saying that, by drinking milk, we're supporting the cruel veal industry. And that's because it's saying that some dairy farms take their males, and if it's a male that's born, since they can't use it to get milk, that they sell it to someone to make veal or send it to slaughter for veal at a young age. So now we're going to look at a dairy farm and see if we agree with that.
I enjoy raising veal. Number one, I was raised on a veal farm, so I've been doing this since I was a young teenager. My name is Chris Landwehr. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I raise veal calves. And I love working with the animals, and every day is different. I'm a morning person, so I like getting up at 3:30, heading to the barn, and by 7 o'clock, I have this sense of accomplishment. And I like seeing that same pride and everything instilled in my kids.
The best part of my job is definitely working with farmers. I work with a lot of small family farms. They take a lot of pride in what they do. I'm Marissa Haig. I'm a veterinarian. So my role as a veterinarian is to work with veal producers and farmers to ensure the health of the calves. So a veal calf, we get them around 100 pounds from the dairy farm. When they come to us, they go into a starter system. And that's kind of like our nursery system. So they get individual care until they're healthy enough and they have really good immune systems. And then they move into a group housing like you see behind me here. And these group pens are usually 5 to 10 animals. And they are raised up to about 500, 550, 6 months old.
My name is Chad Yoder, so I schedule all the calves into the farm, and I also schedule the finished calves back into our plant. We keep our calves inside to protect them from the environment. Here in Pennsylvania, we can get some very cold winter days below zero. The calves are inside in a heated barn. We keep the barns 50, 55 degrees as what we are looking to do. The barns provide shade for the calves in the summer and heat in the winter. The side curtains go up and down, so it's naturally ventilated, so we're able to get plenty of fresh air through to the calves.
Calves are raised in group pens where they can lay down, walk around, groom naturally. They're definitely not raised with tethers or in crates. As a veterinarian, I love seeing animals raised this way. They're healthy, they're happy, and we've definitely changed as an industry.
Raising veal calves has really changed over the years. American Veal Association is a group of family-owned businesses that represent milk-fed veal. It can be feed manufacturers, meat processors, farmers. Veal is raised in what I call the traditional dairy belt. So it's kind of where the cheese industry developed. So the milk-fed veal is primarily produced in New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and Wisconsin. Veal farming is sustainable because we're utilizing dairy bull calves. The veal industry is a way to take those calves and add a lot more value to them by making a high-quality meat protein. And we're also utilizing the whey byproducts that are coming from the cheese manufacturers. Over 30% of those whey solids at this point are not being utilized.
When you take milk from the farm, you can make either butter or you can make cheese with that. From both of those production lines, you get either skim milk powder or you get whey powder, whey protein concentrate. I'm Dr. Sonia Arnold. As an animal nutritionist, that means that I am in charge of all of the ingredients that go into anything that we feed to the calves. And so what I do is take those ingredients and mix them back together to make a high quality, very digestible protein product. We also feed a grain mix to our calves. Again, high quality, that one is all plant-based ingredients, and mixing that together to make sure all of the protein requirements are met. Iron is a very important nutrient for veal calves. They need it for normal growth or normal function. And so at no time in the production of veal are the calves anemic.
A lot of the things that we do to make them stay healthy is just common sense things. Ventilation is probably the biggest thing. If it's not comfortable for me, it's not going to be comfortable for them. And then from there, we have evolved again into using a lot of natural products, probiotics, vaccines, vitamin and minerals, and things like that. I even use apple cider vinegar.
In the event that one of our calves gets sick, we're going to treat them just like I would treat my son if he got sick. Typically, we don't use antibiotics, but if we do, we try to use them very judiciously. So when that calf goes to market, it's healthy for your family.
The strength of the veal farming business is the families that take care of the animals and the quality of the care and the comfort that they provide for these animals.
About 85% of our growers are from the Amish and Mennonite community. What you'd see if you came in here on a normal day is the family working together. The father would be mixing the milk, the wife maybe feeding it, the children would be running around dumping basins and giving grain.
There's a lot of things you don't need to raise veal. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need hundreds of acres of land. But what you do need is a heart that really enjoys spending time in the barn with the animals.
I remember when my kids were little and they'd want to go to the lake or go somewhere, and I would say, we can't until the work is done, just because this is our livelihood.
So that video kind of went through and showed you a little bit about their veal farm and how they raise them. Obviously, you can see that they're treated very well. You know, they have some of the top accommodations for their animals, being able to raise and lower their shades, giving them that fresh air. That's just really important. And so you can see that they really love their animals and are really taking good care of them. And so ads like the one we saw before make it seem like the veal farmers don't take good care of them and that it's wrong. But that's not the reality of that. All right, and then this one is a Fair Oaks dairy farm. I'm not sure if y'all saw it in the news, but about a year ago, this dairy farm was under some serious scrutiny. A lot of protesters protesting against them. You see up here, they actually, if you've ever seen the Fairlife milk in the grocery stores, this is the farm that actually produces the milk for Fairlife. And so about a year ago, a clip of a video was sent out and it showed some workers at the farm that were mistreating the animals. Well, with further investigation, it showed that the workers that were hired that filmed the clip and that committed the abuse of the animals were actually people that worked for some of the radical organizations like PETA. And so they had staged it so that they could be in there and be doing that. And so it just got a really bad rap for this farm. Obviously, the farm owners should have managed it a little bit better, but they learned a lot from it, and they have put even more practices in their farm to help make it even safer for their animals. So we're gonna watch a little bit about them.
This morning, we're taking a closer look at some of the footage released of animal abuse at Fair Oaks Farms. As News 18 previously reported, a pro-vegan group called Animal Recovery Mission released several videos. The group went undercover at the farm.
Since then, Fair Oaks founders have promised to make changes. News 18's Isabella Caruso is live in Newton County this morning. Isabella, you sat down with an animal welfare expert to talk about this video.
I spoke with Dr. Candace Croney, and we sat down and watched some of ARM's videos together. Dr. Candace Croney is the director for the Center of Animal Welfare Science at Purdue University. And while she was unable to comment specifically on ARM's video that shows abuse at Fair Oaks, she was able to provide some information on the usual treatment of cows at dairy farms. And it turns out that not everything that we've been seeing in these videos is abuse. I do want to warn our viewers that some of the video you are about to see is extremely graphic. A lot of people have seen this video. A lot of people wished they didn't.
I've deliberately stopped watching.
But what are we really watching? These videos released by Animal Recovery Mission, a pro-vegan activist group, portray animal abuse at Fair Oaks Farms. Fair Oaks Farms admitted to the abuse. Mike McCloskey, its founder, said in part, "I am disgusted by and take full responsibility for the actions seen in the footage." McCloskey also responded to the information in the videos.
They're showing a practice and misrepresenting it and explaining it wrong.
Was the public fooled by ARM's explanations of the footage? Was some of the interaction in these videos actually harmless? Dr. Candace Croney, an animal welfare expert, sat down with News 18 to watch the video. She confirms some of the footage made out to be abuse is standard practice at a dairy farm. One of those scenes being this.
Moments after giving birth and after birth, still visible. Mothers are forced on the milking line.
How long do those cows need to recover after birth until they can be milked again? And
right. So it's a good question. The answer is going to be different for every cow. In general, you are going to want to milk cows very soon after giving birth. What you want to do is get that milk because it's got colostrum in it that's going to provide that calf with all the antibodies that they need in the first 12 hours. You really do want to milk a cow to make sure that you can actually get the colostrum to that calf.
A main attraction on Fair Oaks Dairy Adventure is the rotary milking system.
Cows hate the rotary system.
Cows are herd animals. On farms, when people keep them together, when they monitor carefully how they're moving from point A to point B, when they have designed facilities that help those animals move through effectively, they are more comfortable.
A lot of ARM's videos showed calf in small hutches.
People may think those are harmful. If they're well designed, if they're kept clean and dry, if they're situated to protect animals as much as possible from the elements, they're not harmful to them.
While Dr. Croney helped us to understand the footage that would not classify as abuse, she also told us what does.
Anyone routinely rough handling animals, cranking their tails, dragging them to get them on transport trucks. That goes against everything that is best practice.
Dr. Croney says when it comes to animal abuse, size doesn't matter.
You can have animal welfare problems on small farms, you can have them on large farms. It is not the scale of the farm that dictates the welfare outcomes for the animals. It really is the quality of the management.
Is management to blame, or did Fair Oaks just have a few bad seeds?
Animal works really hard, so yes, people can get frustrated, but one of their coworkers should be able to say, hey, I'll take over. Right? Or let's go get management and figure out how we do this better.
So what comes from all of this?
What ARM has done is illustrated how easy it is potentially for farms to have problems that they themselves may not be aware of.
According to Mike McCloskey, the founder of Fair Oaks Farms, the farm has already begun its search for an animal welfare specialist. In a video statement, Mike McCloskey said that that person will be responsible for training new employees as well as continuing education in current employees. That person will also be able to go around to any area of the farm at any time and monitor interaction between employees and animals. Now, Sam and Trevor, Dr. Croney told me that in situations like these, it's best for the farm to own up to what happened, and she believes that McCloskey's response was completely appropriate.
Isabella, you actually took a tour of the farm on Friday. Were you able to speak with anyone at the farm?
Yeah, I spoke with a manager here at Fair Oaks, and she was unable to give me the contact information for the McCloskeys, who are the founders of the farm, but she did give me the contact information for Julie Bassich. That's the COO of Fair Oaks. Now, Julie did not return any of my calls, but my efforts are not going to stop here. I'm going to continue to follow up with Julie, as well as try to reach out to the McCloskeys to see if they have anything that they want to say about what's happened here in the past few weeks. Sam, Trevor, back to you.
Okay, fantastic reporting, Isabel. Thank you.
Several employees were fired from Fair Oaks following the release of those videos.
As News 18 previously reported, there were 3 men charged in this animal cruelty case. The charge is a Class A misdemeanor. 31-year-old Santiago Ruvalcaba Contreras, 36-year-old.
All right, so as you saw with that video, there was some cruel action being done, and you know the means of those actions and the people that perform them. Obviously, you know, they should not be working on the farm. They shouldn't be involved in agriculture if they are going to use it in that way. But we, you know, with the video, we did see that there are some things that people were scrutinizing that are just practices that are involved in the dairy industry. The milking parlor, that's a big thing that's involved in the dairy industry. And it actually hurts a cow to keep in her milk. And so it's actually good for them to be milked. They need to be milked. And that is the best way to do it with a milking parlor where they can sanitize it well and make sure that the cows are well cared for. And it, you know, they talked about the farm owned up to the part that they played in it, and they're doing what they can to get better. And so this just shows that, you know, farmers are always working to improve their farms and to make them better for their animals. Again, no farmer would ever want to harm their animals because that's their livelihood. That's how they make money. And so, you know, they were not purposely letting their workers do this. They didn't know about it. And so that's something to think about as, you know, you're growing up and you start to see ads about farms or farmers, and you know, you're going to hear people that have opinions about farmers and farming and agriculture. And so it's important to make your own opinions and make sure that you look at actual facts and research behind it and not just the news media outlets. All right, any questions on those videos and the things that we've talked about and watched? Any questions on any of that? All right, for your assignment today, it is a animal welfare and rights research assignment. Oops, I guess it's not linked. Hold on. All right, so I'll make sure to get this linked as soon as we are off here. So it is a farm animal welfare exploration sheet. And so you're not able to do it in a group, it'll just be individual. But you're going to pick one of these topics. So you only have to pick one. And you must do research on it. Don't just give me your opinions on what you think it is or if you think it's economically beneficial. You're actually going to have to go and research it. So you're going to have to go to Google, type in these things, find some articles about it, read about it, read about what it is, why it's used, and whether it's a good practice or not, and form your own thoughts about it from researching. So the 3 topics that you can choose from, number 1 is with chickens, and that is called debeaking or beak trimming. The second one will be with cattle, and that is hormone usage in cattle. And then the third one would be with pigs, and that's the usage of farrowing cages. And so farrowing cages is something that's used when cows are giving birth. So that just kind of gives you an overview of what that farrowing is. Debeaking, obviously they trim their beaks, so figuring out why that is that they do that and if it's good or not. And then hormone usage, so obviously inserting hormones into cattle. What is it? Why do they do it? Is it beneficial or not? So the questions you have to ask in complete sentences. Describe the technique and why it is used. So what is this technique? Why is it used in this animal? Number 2, is the technique economically beneficial and is it practical? So is it cheaper, better for the farmer to do this technique, or does this technique cause more problems that then, cost the farmer more money? Is it a practical technique? So is it more practical for them to do this? Is it better for the animal for them to do this? And then how does this practice affect animal welfare? Does it constitute an ethical way to treat animals? So is this practice a good, practice for animals? Is it treating the animals well, but still meeting their needs? What do you gather about this practice and its effect on the animals? And then number 4, are there any good alternatives instead of using this technique that farmers could do? So you need to look up, see what other alternatives that you can find, and if they might be better than using this specific technique. All right, what questions do you have about this? All right, after you've done your research and answered your 4 questions, you will submit it here. All right, any questions? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take attendance before we get done. All right, is Corbin here? Zanaya? Taquandre? Callie?
Here.
Thank you. Sarah?
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Jalen?
Here.
Thank you. Michaela? Autumn Fairbanks? Logan? Ted?
Here.
Thank you. Anaya?
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Hal? Edwin? Brayden?
Here.
Sir? John? Jaden?
Here.
Thank you. Josiah?
Here.
Thank you. David?
Here.
Thank you. Shakira? Kelsey?
Here.
Thank you. Wilson? And Autumn. All right. If you do not have any questions or need any help, I hope you have a great weekend. Remember, Monday will be asynchronous, and I will see you on Tuesday. Be safe and stay healthy.
Have a good weekend.
You too, Brayden. Tell Spencer happy birthday.
I will.
Same here. Have a great weekend, Miss Tart.
Thank you. You too, Josiah.
Bye.
Bye.